So, Councillor, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, Sean, and thank you so much for agreeing once again to do this. And
My
and I
pleasure.
hope we can make this a regular event just to keep everybody updated on what's going on in Ward 15 within Flamborough and certainly within the city of Hamilton. And I just want to say how much I appreciate the patience of the community and the due diligence that folks are really doing a good job. We do have some folks who are a little bent on not following rules, whether it's intentional or not intentional. But by and large, I'm very proud of our community and certainly right across our city and what we're doing.
I guess on that, what are some of the rules that you're seeing being bent out there? Like we'll get back to can't we do? We can go for walks. We can't go on certain places, but we can go certain places. So what are you seeing out there in the community?
I think, I would like to think that by and large, it's a misunderstanding or a confusion. Just what are the rules, as you've just said, and what's the clarification? For instance, I did post something on Facebook last week, I believe it was. Skate parks definitely out, can't go near that. Any of the city facilities. So don't get on the playgrounds. Don't play on any of the equipment. Basketball courts, if you're touching the ball and you're with two people and you're passing the ball back and forth, not a good idea. But as far as what can you do, absolutely use the walking paved pathways at Memorial Park, Joe Sam's, Courtcliff. You can walk through the parks. There's some great trails within there that you can walk. But along those trails are exercise stations. Not a good idea to use those. Most of them are posted, so we just ask people to just be patient for a little bit longer. We're not sure how long this is going to be, but as soon as the sun comes out and the warm weather, which, we're getting there, we're not there yet, but we're getting there, it is going to be more and more difficult, especially for young children, families, and teenagers. Yeah.
Right. So we'll get right to the questions. Liam,
Yep.
the first one, the old fireworks store at the corner of Dundas and Hamilton Street. So let's talk about both areas, the old fireworks store and the gas station.
Yeah, so those two buildings have gone through, well, first of all, let me start with the old fireworks location, which is on the west side of Hamilton Street corner on the south side of Dundas. That particular piece of property and building application has been in for, I think, about 5 or 6 years. It was subject to an Ontario Municipal Board challenge, which then became LPAT. And that has gone through the courts. And at this point, it should be ready for construction at some point in time. I did notice a couple of weeks ago, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, that there was some construction fencing that went up. So I'm very hopeful that things have been worked out and that they are ready to go and start anytime, because it is a horrible eyesore. The gas station on the other corner, as I have, I think I've indicated before, that fencing, construction fencing, has been up for quite a while. There was a post on Facebook that it was contaminated land site. That is not true. The tanks have been removed about 6 years ago, and there has been cleanup of the property. I wish they would tear that old gas station apart and build the new building. The new building has gone through site plan, and my understanding is it's been approved. There was some discussion or some back and forth between staff and the builder on the type of stone they were going to use on the outside of the building. My preference is that whatever treatment they use on the outside of the building ties in with the old Victorian look. And as far as I know, that's what's been happening. So I don't really know why it's been held up. The folks who own the two plazas on either side of Hamilton Street also own that corner lot. So if you're wondering why it's been held up and you want to talk to somebody about it, there's a phone number on the sign. Please call it and tell them it's time to take that building down and it's time to build.
More construction questions.
Yep.
Joanna asks, will the bridge on Dundas Street be resurfaced anytime soon?
I believe that bridge that she's referring to is east of Mill Street. That goes up Vinegar Hill to First Street, and it's a CNCP bridge. So that bridge is owned by CNCP. It is not owned by the city, but the road is going to be repaved from there right up to the top of First Street. The road, Dundas Street from First Street all the way to Kearns Road is going to be upgraded. I believe it might start this year, but certainly next year it is going to be upgraded as soon as we get a little bit more construction finished, which is happening on Dundas Street. I think around Burke and Mallard, there's six condo towers going up in that area, and they're all under construction right now. And that's right across from the Pearson House, where Wolcott Real Estate is located.
Is are they already started to build the towers?
The foundations are in. If you look, you can see the foundations are in. And again, that's on the south side of Dundas Street, east of Burke.
Yeah.
Between Burke and Mallard. Yeah. So there's going to be 3 buildings. I believe one is 15 stories. There's a 12-story. And I'm not sure about the height of the other one, but I think that it is probably around 10 to 12 stories. There are then 3 smaller buildings, which are going to be around 5 stories each. And all of those buildings were approved long ago through the Ontario Municipal Board. I believe it was back in 2007 to 2009, something like that. So long before I was elected, but it is now finally under construction.
And a COVID question from Tanya. This might be a provincial question and not local, but if masks do become mandatory for stores, how is the average person going to get them? I guess that would be up to the stores, right?
Well, in terms of the masks for COVID, by the way, I shout out to many in the community, particularly from St. James United Church, who have been making the masks. So I wouldn't worry too much about mask availability. Certainly you can get them, at any of the hardware stores. Rona has quite a few of them. There's different kinds of masks too. So whether they become mandatory or not is certainly going to be governed by the provincial government, because that legislation comes down from the provincial government. Public health is also under the jurisdiction of the provincial government. So if it becomes mandatory, I'm sure that they will be made available for residents.
Somebody did ask
Yes.
Somebody did ask about Clappison Drive. That's from Parkside to Dundas, right?
Right. So Clappison Drive, if you go down to Clappison Power Center, Clappison Drive goes from Dundas Street, where the No Frills is, runs past No Frills, past Canadian Tire, and it is going to connect up to Parkside Drive and go past Stryker. If you look, the bridge is in. So I am very excited. This has been a long time coming. I was talking to the developers who are building it the other day, and they have, all their approvals from the Ministry of the Environment, the city. Everybody has been working very hard, the archaeological digs. So the bridge is in. They were waiting for the asphalt plants to open, which I believe they're open this week. So something many folks aren't aware of is asphalt is not available all year round. It is only available usually around the end of April or to mid-May until November, and then the plants shut down. So any repaving, any road construction that needs to happen within that time frame for that reason. So the bridge was prefabricated. That has now been installed. The rocks and the concrete foundations, they've all been poured, and now the final touch, excuse me, the final touch will be doing the paving, and I'm really hoping it's going to be open by September. It's about 1.5 to 2 years behind schedule.
Wow. And then Tanya asked, this might be a provincial question as well, if kids have stuff at their schools, Any idea when they can go back and get it? I know that's the big question everybody wants to know.
So yes, and Tanya, thank you very much. Tanya, thank you very much for the question. We are getting lots of questions about the schools, and again, schools are under the provincial mandate and Education Act. However, Trustee Penny Deeth and myself, we actually had a meeting last week. We had a 3-meter COVID meeting out at Joe Sam's Park, which was quite productive. We got to cover off a lot of things. And we're having another meeting on Friday with some of the superintendents to talk about the busing, because there's been some challenges around the busing. But to come back to, will students and parents be allowed access into the schools? Because as you know, with schools being shut down before March break, people have things in their lockers. If they're graduating at the end of June, you know, when are they going to be allowed access in? And I know that in my conversation with Penny, this is something that they are taking into consideration. They do have to think about, if they did allow people back into the schools, what would that look like? Obviously, you can't have everybody going in at once. So, you know, could they phase, have certain days, certain alphabetical last names going in? We're working on that. And hopefully we will have an answer within the next couple of weeks.
I guess getting back to some parks, I know there's some questions from some people. Off-leash dog parks, where can dogs go? Can we chat about that?
Oh, thank you for raising that. That, you know, it's been a huge problem. People, put your dog on a leash. It is not supposed to be off leash. I don't know how much more clear we can be about that. You know, we've had dogs for 35 years. We walk in all the parks. Do not let your dogs off leash. You may think your dog is friendly. You may not have a problem. But if your dog gets excited and runs up and jumps on a little one and knocks a child over, that's a problem. If your dog jumps all over other people's little dogs, or you don't know what's going to happen, keep your dog on a leash. And for those who have been dealing with it at Courtcliff Park, which is up in the area that I live in, Joe Sam's Park, we get complaints from right across Hamilton. But I will tell you that in the last 3 weeks, they have been cracking down, and there have been more than 20 tickets issued for Joe Sam's Park and for Courtcliff Park, and also a couple at Memorial Park, because the city is just not going to tolerate it anymore. It's becoming dangerous.
And I guess with the Premier announcing earlier this week that retailers that have a door on the road can open up for curbside pickup. So I guess some businesses in Waterdown will be able to reopen that are directly on Dundas Street, I'm assuming.
So, you know, I first of all, I want to say that I am so concerned about our small businesses. You know, in the past, I've owned 2 small businesses. I know how difficult it is. Excuse me. You put everything, your heart and soul into your business, and you care about your employees. So I have a great deal of concern about getting those businesses to open up, getting them to open up safely. And, you know, we just can't push the envelope on opening up too soon. I think there needs to be further clarification on who can open up and who can't. Certainly there has been curbside pickup to the White House, Harrington Lanes. God bless you for, you know, having the order online and curbside pickup. Many of our restaurants, you know, a huge shout out to our BIA in Waterdown, who have really worked very, very hard with all the local businesses to see, you know, just how innovative and inventive you can be to get back into business. So I think there needs to be more clarification around that. But I am really happy to see curbside pickup. You know, is it fair that a Walmart, because they have food, can be open, and yet, you know, some of our other businesses cannot be open for whatever reason? So, but I am happy to see more and more of our businesses doing curbside pickup.
And then also the deal, I guess I should say, with Bell and with rural Flamborough, right? With internet?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. The rural broadband internet connectivity. Anybody who lives out in the rural area knows the level of frustration has just been huge. We've been talking about this for so long, and finally, You know, it took us about 3 to 5 years to negotiate with the different servers. Bell Canada came through. And so the city of Hamilton now has an official partnership with Bell Canada. They've agreed to invest $400 million into expanding their fiber wire internet connectivity into the rural areas. So you will start to see a number of Bell vehicles driving around out on the concessions. They are starting to put up the cable. There's some big orange cables over in the Millgrove area. And, you know, for folks saying that nothing's being done, please, it's not true. A lot of these partnerships, especially when you're talking about a $400 million investment, it takes a very long time. And, you know, the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Task Force, of which I've been a part of, as well as Clear Cable and Waterdown and a number of other private businesses, we've all been working really hard to just try and move the yardsticks forward. We're there now. In infrastructure, you know, development and the construction has started. It will continue throughout 2020 and into 2021. And hopefully within the next 3 to 5 years, not even 5 years. I was talking to the fellow at Bell the other day, and he said, you know, we're moving fast comparatively, because usually the big companies don't move that fast. So I'm really hoping within the next 3 years, we will be able to say that we have, you know, more than 70 to 90% of the rural area getting appropriate, you know, if not high speed, as close to high speed internet connectivity as we can get. And that's huge. That's going to be a big issue.
And then just scrolling through a lot of the questions here, a lot of them are doubles. Anything else that you want to touch on?
Well, the secondary plan, there was, I think, there was a couple of folks that raised the issue about the secondary plan that's being done for Waterdown. So what a secondary plan is, for those who are watching, the secondary plan is really what it is you want Waterdown to look like, and what do you want the construction and the building and development restrictions to be going forward. And so the secondary plan is very much about public engagement. And we did have a meeting, a public meeting, I believe it was in October, November, and we saw over 200 people attend. It was at St. Thomas Church. A lot of information was gathered on, you know, the heritage component of it, transportation master plan, as well as the development. So the secondary plan is specifically for the downtown core of Waterdown. And I, you know, I have to say, every other area of Hamilton now has a secondary plan in place. It takes about 18 to 24 months to complete one. The only area of Hamilton that does not have a secondary plan done is Waterdown. So I'm very pleased, because I've been banging the table to get this secondary plan done for the last 8 years. And finally, it's our turn. So now that COVID's hit, I didn't want a halt put on the secondary plan. So it is continuing. Staff are continuing to work. And in fact, we had a meeting, a virtual meeting, a couple of days ago, and we are going to, because we can't go out and have a public meeting, we are going to have a virtual opportunity for public engagement. So what that means is we're in the process of setting up a website, a web page, sorry, specifically dedicated to the Waterdown core secondary plan. And we will have a way for people to provide their comments, to give their feedback, to be able to go onto the website. There'll be an email address they can click on. They can provide all kinds of information. And of course, they can always send the information to me or Christine or Veronica at my office. But it's very, very important to me that everybody has a say, who lives in the core of Waterdown, or even, you know, refers to the Waterdown area as their home, that they have a say in what will development look like over the course of, you know, the next 20 years. So we need to get those we need to get those rules defined and in place. So for instance, on Dundas Street, are you okay with 3-story buildings going in there, you know, 1, 2, and 3-story buildings? Or are you going to be okay with a 15-story building going in somewhere along Dundas Street in the core of Waterdown? I hope not, because I certainly would not approve a 15-story building going
No
in the
comment.
core of Waterdown on Dundas Street, certainly not between Hamilton and Mill Street. So, you know, we need to put restrictions around
Right.
that. That's what a secondary plan is. So I hope that's been helpful.
And it'll really
Not on hold. It
Waterdown
is
will look like.
continuing.
And that'll really help determine on what Waterdown will look like, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's of huge importance to an awful lot of people, especially the folks that are in the Heritage District.
Mm-hmm.
They are, you know, very concerned about different areas of the core and the heritage buildings, and you know what could potentially happen to them. I did pass a motion through council, which was unanimously supported back in, I believe it was January. That protected about 10 different properties within the core of Waterdown, one of them being the Coachman, another one being the you know, former Village Fish and Chips, and other buildings that are protected, and there are no plans or applications that have come forward on them. So at this point they're protected. We do want to get them written into the secondary plan to make sure they're protected in perpetuity.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Councillor.
Oh, my pleasure. I do want to touch on Carlisle. You know, I for those who are watching, thank you so much for hanging in there. Namaste. You know, but I want to talk about the Carlisle development because there were some posts online that said, you know, that there was talk of bringing water up from Lake Ontario all the way up to Carlisle to allow for further development. Well, first of all, that is absolutely not true. It is not accurate. The Ministry of the Environment will not allow any water or connectivity to be brought up to communities outside that are more in the rural area. Milton was the very last one that they approved, and I believe that was back in the early 80s. So that is not going to happen. There is a development freeze in Carlisle. No multiple subdivisions are allowed to be built, and it is because there is an issue with the storage capacity of the water. We have lots of water, but we don't have the storage capacity to be able to have that water available to any more development or any more houses or properties coming onto the system. So the municipal water system in Carlisle right now is just sufficient to support the homes that are connected to it. So there is no development happening. I know there's been a post put up on a property at the end of Tansley in the survey that I live in. It is not approved. There is no application that has been brought in. The owner of that property has been told there is a freeze on development. They made the personal choice to put that subdivision, future subdivision sign up, and it's on their property, so there's nothing we can do about it, but it is absolutely not true. There is no future development within the near future happening. So I just wanted to clarify that. And the Carlisle Library, the building that was the TD Bank has been donated, the property has been donated, and right now it's just on hold because of the construction that has been coming down from the provincial government saying no more construction or no more development for the time being. We're hoping that will be lifted soon. We're just going to be able to do the renovations on the inside of the building, and then it will be open to the public. So I am really hoping that by November of this year, we will be able to open the building, and then there will be some expansion plans in 2021 to expand the building, but it can still be open and ready for use. So I'm very, very pleased for the community to be able to have that library up there.
Excellent. Very good information.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well,
and I can't think of anything else. I think we've covered Clappison Road.
We have 5G towers. you want to?
So thank you, because there have been some posts about 5G.
Yeah.
And, 5G, so there is, 3G, 4G, 4G plus, and 5G. And it's all about the use of the cellular companies being Bell, TELUS, Rogers, all the big ones, etc. And the infrastructure that they are putting into the community. At this point, to my knowledge, we do not have any 5G in the community, certainly not within Ward 15 at this point. We do have 4G. And so, but it's not throughout the entire Ward 15. There are small pockets within Waterdown and up and down, I believe, Highway 6 and along Dundas Street. There is some 4G. But 4G is one bandwidth, 5G is the ability to use two bandwidths or more. So we're not there yet. And again, that's, I believe, federal and provincial jurisdiction in terms of allowing it. But we're not there right now.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So one more thing I just thought of. Oh my goodness, all these posts on Facebook. So there was a post as well about potentially to retail marijuana locations.
Oh, right. Yeah, 2 shops.
Yes. Yes. I've heard only about one shop down on, I believe it's Dundas Street, down by Clappison Power Center.
Near,
and
lease, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not really sure of the address or the location. All I know is that it, I can't recall, which is why I'm not saying what the address is. But again, it is federally, federal legislation allows for the sale of medical marijuana. Provincial legislation regulates where those properties, where they can open and the licenses. The municipal government, although we asked to have the opportunity to be able to regulate and provide licensing, et cetera, we were turned down by the province. So no municipality throughout the province of Ontario has any say in where they can be located other than zoning. So if the zoning allows for commercial retail sales, there you go. So I haven't heard anything more other than there was a notice of an application that came across my desk, probably about 3-4 weeks ago. But other than that, I'm just not aware. And personally, if there are two retail types of businesses that I would like to keep out of Flamborough, or out of Waterdown, I should say, one of them is the money lenders, and the second one is the cannabis sales. But however,
yeah.
So,
all right, good answers. And I guess
I'm not sure if we've solved all the problems of the world, but I think we've solved some of them.
And go outside, but don't go too close.
Yes, but don't go too close. And I just want to say, by the way, Veronica and Christine in my office, they are working from home remotely. They have, like all admin staff in the building, they have been connected to all of the city servers. Our IT folks have been going crazy, setting everybody up. Some of us are in the building working, definitely at space, but my office is here. We're dealing with issues. In fact, we're getting more emails and more phone calls than prior to COVID. So it is extremely busy in here right now, but we are here to help you. So please, if you have a question, if you need help, just send me an email. Go to my website, judipartridge.ca, and it's Judy with an I. And, if you don't find the information you need there, please do send me an email or give me a call. Sign up for my e-news. It's a monthly e-news that goes out. And the feedback I get from people is that it has great information in it. And please be well. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Judy.
Thank you, Sean. Take care, everybody.
Thanks. See you later. I'll see you in 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, okay. 2 or 3 weeks.
We'll be able to do it like outside.
Yes, I hope so. Thanks, Sean.